As we are now jumping into the draft for our final series of the day to determine who will be moving forward and who will be knocked out of NIP Flash moving forward, as they are going to be banning out that Zushin.
So between Jushin and Bruno, they're like, you know what, we can handle the Bruno. Without the Granger, their other options are honestly two right now. The Beatrix as well as the Moscow, which is the picks that they have used before. And now the Bruno has been picked up by Innocent, half man, half beast. How does NIP Flash respond?
All right, firstly, they're probably going to look straight into the jungle, right?
Suyo
for sure. That makes a lot of sense to me at this point of time. It fits in pretty much every single composition with its toolbox, overall toolbox kit. It's got sustain, it's got studs, and it has iframes.
Joy. We've seen how much of a threat it could be. May work inside of NIP Flash's toolbox, can definitely be a threat. The Mathilda still walking, could provide some survivability if they want to go that route as well. The Eve is still on the table, but they have to worry about the Valentina on the other side.
If Leo was here, he would say the Matilda is still cawing.
Every time, man. Matilda Airline saves the day, as we saw in our previous best of 5, but it's going to be Suyo and as well as High Loss, once again, a staple for Diablo. I don't think it's going to go into the support of Rome section, mainly because JPL, he's more of a playmaker more than a I press one button and I tank, I big.
Yeah, now SRG, just saying, if they don't pick up the jungler here, most probably it is going to get banned out. Oh wait, I just thought of it. Another one, Nolan. I can't remember if the last game Nolan was banned or not. But either ways, SRG, Stormy has quite a big hero pool. If they want to pick up Eve, they can, because it is good going up against the High Loss. Afterwards, perhaps pick up the jungler, but they pick up the Hilda as well as the Joy. And the Joy does have a good matchup against the Suyo.
Oh, it's going to be a little bit challenging now with that Joy in the mix. I mean, just from the last series, we see how impactful that can be. Now going on to the side of NIP Flash. Do they want to pick up something to go up against this Bruno before more of the marksmen get limited out on the second phase of this draft?
It would make sense if we do see a Moskov get locked in. At the end of the day, Moskov does pretty well, and especially with the knockback both against Hilda, both against Joy. You're able to kind of create distance between yourself, especially when they want to get on top of you. But no, they're going to go straight for the direct counter matchup towards Joy Integral.
Gentlemen, what do you guys think about the Suyo pick, by the way? And before you answer, let me tell you why I asked. This is Hades' first Suyo in M6. And M6 has been going on for quite a while. This is his first Suyo.
I agree. I think that he's going to do absolutely fine. He is playing more mechanically challenging, high execution heroes like Ling, like Hayabusa. It makes sense that Suyo, less execution overall, has a better skill set and overall toolkit like Box.
Well, they prowled it super early, so I'm expecting him to be at least a little comfortable on that with letting that slide through the draft. But the question also to be asked is what's going to be put into this mid lane? You already see the Valentina taken off the board. The Lu Yi was banned out from SRG. They know how NIP Flash likes to favor that, to have the element of surprise. If you go for something like an Eve, which is still on the table, it's going to have a lot of threat with the composition that SRG has so far. You have the Joy who can rush in, pick you off. You have the Hilda as well.
Now we got to talk about fun facts here. From the Swiss stage until now, both SRG and NIP Flash have only been on the blue side twice. Both teams only hold 50% win rate when they are picking first. Will this change?
That's kind of funny.
Watashi wa don't know.
Look, hey man, you keep that with between you and JPL, but between the two teams, the fact that they have only a 50% win rate on blue side is kind of ironic, considering that yes, they are able to kind of play very counteractive to go towards their opponents, and overall having a better win rate on red side anyways. Second part of the draft, Valentina followed up by the Harris this time round, really wanted to limiting that pool.
Oh, okay, so Aurora possibly could be picked up here for NIP Flash. Like I said, I just don't feel like the Eve would be the answer with this composition. Maybe even a Vexana could be something they pull out here. We have yet to see the response back to the Bruno, though. We talked about Coach Arcadia and how he felt about the Bruno. But for NIP Flash, we don't know what their game plan is for it.
More so, it looks like it has to be very team fight heavy. They've got the Tigreal, they've also got the High Loss. It only makes sense if they do so. They ban, interestingly enough, they ban out the Vexana. They don't want some form of disengage. They might just default back down to Veil.
I mean, like, here's the thing. Yeah, they ban out the Vexana just so that they can pick up the Aurora themselves. But like you said, Stormy is kind of bored using Valentina all the time. Towards he asked the coach, can I just pick up a Veil? Which, by the way, if they lost the game, they would have been eliminated. And then the coach is like, sure. So sometimes maybe just look at Stormy, and then coach is like, huh? And then Stormy's like,
okay. Well, keep in mind, in NIP Flash, they are the Loco team. I mean, they could pull out something crazy in the mid lane that none of us are expecting.
That's a good point, but now we're seeing that the target is definitely towards Vanix's side. They got rid of the Harrod. They also made sure that the Moskov is out of range at this point. With Granger gone, it kind of forces him on the other counter, which would be Beatrix, but that's only to a certain degree, and it doesn't look like, well, actually, with the Tigreal, maybe possible.
With what Weezy said, it will be funny if it's a Suyo mid. Because again, Hades hasn't used it so far.
Don't you
Not saying Kirkizi has, but I've watched clips on YouTube. It has happened before. So I'm not throwing it out the window just yet.
Oh man, how illegal would that
Let
be?
this be a mid lane pick so that we don't you know, talk about it anymore.
Okay, all right, fair enough. But let's see what this next pick is going to be.
Studio Jungle.
Thank God, thank God. But it's Farsa still. Farsa can still be cancelled out by a number of abilities coming in from the side
Joy?
of SRG. Well, I mean, Joy's already can close the distance, right? But that's threatening. It doesn't immediately cancel it.
There's some punish too. I mean, when you have a strong front line like a Tig and a Hylos on your side, and then you have the Farza who already has mobility, and then you stack a Flicker on top of it, there's a means for escape if you have the Joy over the Hilda trying to rush in. So definitely have to be careful for that. Not to mention now you have the artillery on your side, right? When it comes to these neutral engagements, these turtles, these lords, they have more range in this composition compared to SRG.
I would agree with the range, but I'm also worried that SRG might play a really difficult comp if they like lock in Matilda, for an example, take a couple of Purifies. It's really difficult to execute.
Oh, so they pick up the Eve as well as the Guinevere as a roam here. So this Farsa kind of doesn't have a choice but to go Purify. But again, you Purify for the Guinevere, but you want that Flicker going up against the Joy. So honestly, this kind of puts pressure on JPL, where I feel like he wants to engage, but at the same time, he has to look at his backline, because if Curtizi gets caught, he has to be there to you know, back him up.
Yeah, at this point, you might as well go Claude, right? You're able to use the BMI, close the distance, and natural counter towards Eve's side. That would make the most sense at this point. I mean, you're gonna, no matter what, it's gonna be a difficult lane against the Bruno. If you want to play something more passive, sure, you can go for the Beatrix, but at the end of the day, you need a wombo combo with something. Both are viable options.
I see the fondant.
Oh, but they pick up the Natan, so
the same.
a very late game carry. But honestly, looking at how Natan has been playing, honestly,
Of these teams heading into game number 1.
More surprising for NIP Flash, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when was the last time you saw Curtizi on an actual mage? You know, does the Farsa have like the Decimate ulti? Is this the new Farsa or what? Because yeah, Curtizi, we have seen him on mages before. Just it's not the common. It's not the thing we usually think about when we think Curtizi. But let's see how it works out up against SRG's Bruno and Yums' Guinevere.
Yes, because if there's one thing I would immediately want to point out when it comes to Curtizi and his confidence heading into this game, it's that he's not picking up the Purify on the Farsa. So he's really confident in terms of positioning, or it's important that he has to be, because Yums would probably be constantly on the hunt for him, but it's not just Yums, actually. It's even Sekai's, it's Cram. There's a lot of members from SRG who could just hunt the backlines of NIP Flash.
Yeah, it does seem like for NIP Flash, their draft is more to shut down Bruno and Joy, right? Yves is going to have a very good time, I would say, the Guinevere and Cram on Hilda. We should see Cram able to get into that backline, but again, JPL goes in. Oh, what was that damage? Hades! A double kill. Yums and Skies disappeared.
And I'm not sure if there was the Sacred Hammer too, or it was just JPL right in front of 2 members of SRG, but that was a beautiful Blade Surge.
What was that?
Stunning 2 members and that immediate burst down as well. So I think this is also one thing you'd have to be careful if you were SRG up against NIP. The amount of early game damage that they have in their hands, they could literally burst down any member they spot out from SRG at this point. Both Hades, Curtizi, and probably even a bit of like poke here and there from Vanix on the Nathan.
I'm still surprised that that dealt that much damage. It's not like he went for Thrill, so there's a bit more damage there. Season Hunter, Impurage, yeah, nothing too crazy there. Bargain Hunter for Vanix, though, means that, yeah, like LaFell said, we might get like some power spikes very early on. If Vanix is able to just farm up and go even with Innocent on the Bruno, we might actually see the power spikes be very, very similar to each other, the timing at least. It's Tenacity too, by the way, for Innocent. This is something I'm personally not used to seeing. We usually see more of an aggressive stance for Mr. Innocent. Great push. Wow, Hades with a blink getting away from the Spatial Migration. That's the glory. Oh my lord, Yums just disappeared again. Curtizi will be traded in. But NIP Flash are playing so good.
Yeah, Curtizi stood there. He knew they were winning anyway. And you could see the priority of NIP Flash in terms of objectives. Diablo just making sure he would be accompanying his other members, even though he doesn't get his hands on the level 4 yet. The glorious pathway wasn't even necessary for them to be able to burst down and secure that objective. So NIP Flash, they're off to a really good start, and that pretty much reflects in terms of the gold between our 2 junglers. Hades, I mean 3-0 for this Suyo in the early game. You would understand why he's this much ahead.
Yeah, 3-0, 1.2k gold lead against the Joy and Diablo. here. Electrifying beats. Diablo should fall. Oh, he jukes him. Revitalize gets away. He's going to buy a lot of time and a lot of positions from SRG will have to be given away to rotate over to deal with Mr. Diablo. For the airstrike though, onto Stormy. That's 1, 2, 3 hits, 4 hits. Every single one of those feathered airstrikes was on Mr. Stormy.
Why does it feel like Cortese, if only second skill even hit at that moment, could have bursted down Stormy in a full combo. That pretty much reflects how NIP flashes ahead, but Hades spots Sekai's. And one thing at least for SRG is just how ahead their Expelade is, but oh wait, oh! Panics with the Purify.
Yep, escaping from the spatial migration, Violet Requiem combo, just wanting to play safe in this weak side. He knows the team is doing well right now, so there's no reason for him to actually walk in, do anything aggressive, just play it by the book, passive, and farm up. Whoa, right.
What is this?
Oh, the timing was good. Oh, a bit unfortunate timing for Hades there. He was charging up that skill 1, that stun, but Yums came out a bit late from the bush. Good timing from Yums. And now, turtle number 2, bottom lane, Cram diving! The turret is nothing to Cram, but it does give all the prio over to NIP Flash up top around the turtle. So it'll be a kill on Vanix, traded for the second turtle of the game.
You gotta take note of this. SRG, it's not even their mid laner, it's not even their roamer suddenly rotating to the bottom lane. It's their XP laner rotating to the bottom lane, helping Innocent. So the priorities for Cram, you're seeing it, like just how focused they are in terms of securing that early game for Innocent as well, and they're about to take out almost all of the energy shields. But for Vanix, it is equally important for him to not get picked off. I mean, they should be wary of that. These rotations from Selangor and Giants, they're pathing, it's really interesting.
And it's back to just a farming battle for both these teams, you know? Not really going for anything, any invades, ambushes, aggressive takes. NIP Flash, they want to farm. Same goes for SRG. They still have a very, very good mid-game power spike with Stormy and Innocent. So if there's no neutral objective, don't really expect any of these teams to be looking for big plays around the map.
Yep. So for now, we were just waiting for that next neutral objective potentially, and that major rotation that we'll be seeing from both of these teams. Because again, Crab here in the mid lane, adding a bit of pressure as well. And it's it kind of limits overall the rotations that NIP Flash could do as well. But Hades versus Sekai's in the top lane. But even in the bottom lane, there's action too!
The Worldie! Bouncing from the mini waves. Innocent getting the solo kill there. JPL with a good shove to escape. Oh! That's an implosion for the airstrike. Almost dealt with him. The stun over to Yums. It should be a trade. No, he flickers out. Great timing from Stormy to pop in that RWM. Good field of immobility to stop NIP Flash from getting that trade.
Such clutch timings from both of these teams in terms of using their crucial battle spells and even ultimates just to save each other, but this is looking pretty good for SRG. They're able to get their hands on the tier 1 lane up top, and they might just get their hands on the bottom lane tier 1 turret too. So with just that amount of pressure, which we thought initially would have been favorable for NIP Flash, it's actually SRG who gets the better of it, but Yums immunes himself with a Violet Requiem. So NIP Flash, they know which resources are gone, but they still want to go for this turtle.
Bottom lane shoved in. Does seem like Vanix will be joining the team here as he shoves into mid lane. JPL doesn't have the flicker, doesn't have that instant engage. Diablo lowers pathway to try to zone them away. Spatial migration comes in, but Hades just wins it out. Yum's very low. Hades going in. That's a kill. Mega kill for Hades as SRG take or concede the turtle and say, all right, we've got enough. We're going to back off.
Yeah, and NIP Flash, I think they're slowly finding their way to play around SRG's pattern in terms of the team fights. Oh, wait.
Nice steal.
They got it away from Hades. Still pretty much ahead in terms of gold. I mean, no one's leading more than Innocent, though. If it was just gold that we're talking about, he's pretty much ahead of everyone. But those who are able to convert it. Earlier it was SRG, but gradually NIP Flash, it seems like they're slowly making their way towards SRG's jungle as well.
Purify baited out. No flicker for JPL still. They're going to try to go for the steal. The retribution from Hades will secure the purple buff. And that's info. No Purify for Stormy.
Yeah, and they just got their purple buff too. They've had some form of revenge from NIP Flash. So now we're looking at the current situation wherein we barely get to feel the discrepancy in terms of gold. It seems like it's such an equal game between both of these teams. Even in terms of skill score, they're just having exchanges here and there. So I feel like it's very important that we see who gets the better of the other in terms of the objective fights and the neutrals. But then, even before that, slowly, NIP Flash working their way macro-wise in terms of the game as well. So it feels like they're just being so careful about their engages. This is not the typical hyper-aggressive approach we're seeing from either of these two teams.
Definitely not. Yeah, I guess, you know, they've learned from their mistakes, you know. Early on in the Swiss stage, we saw just how aggressive SRG were in the best of ones. Didn't really pay off for them. So they've learned from that. Now they're going to play more to their win conditions. NIP Flash, on the other hand, they got a lot of success by playing a lot of the aggressive strategies in the Swiss stage, but I guess it's just because of the composition. They have a Farsa and an Atan. So if SRG want to play it slow, NIP Flash are gladly going to try to match that as well with this composition. They will gladly take the late game, the mid game too. We'll see. Item. Oh, wait. Glorious Pathway. That's a spatial migration used already. Feather Airstrike though. Ooh, that's a very low Curtis with the flicker out. Cram trying to go in dive, and Hades zones skies away. Big resources used up before the Lord.
Yeah, but I just want to say, Cram, he's just so consistent in making sure that NIP Flash will be able to position themselves well, but oh no, Stormy! He doesn't get saved by the Purify.
Doesn't matter, the Purify Diablo with the DOT. Damage over time, slowly getting Stormy down. Diablo's an assassin with the high lows. JPL goes in for the flicker implosion. Doesn't find anyone. Innocent, meanwhile, getting a spatial migration, Violent Requiem. They're getting split up for their airstrike, and JPL's gonna be picked off on the other side of the map as well.
Oh no, 3 members left for NIP Flash, and this might just be a 4v3 or a 5v3 since Stormy is about to return as well. So guys just trying to pressure them a bit. There's a reset though for the Lord, but they're not stopping anyway. That's a spatial migration once again!
Connecting Hades, unable to do anything. Skies gets the shutdown, and Cram is trying to go for the flank power wilderness. Curtis, he's still able to escape. Edison gets the fadeaway shot. Vanix forces the entropy back, and SRG gets the 2,100 gold lead plus the Lord.
We were just talking about how NIP Flash could have just managed everything considering their composition, and even way back in the drafting phase, earlier they didn't have much of range, but when they picked up the Farsa, you would have thought that they were already able to answer just that. They have ways to reach Innocent, they already have ways to dish out damage from afar, but SRG, they also have the range in terms, or in Stormy, and it's not just that. There's no one in NIP Flash doing the same job as Cram. There's no one in NIP Flash just forcing out the cancels on the Feathered Airstrikes and forcing those two damage dealers to stick together to make sure that they don't get picked off by the Hilda. And now it's SRG slowly knocking on NIP Flash's base. Holy defense already used for the bottom lane turrets, and they just have to really work their defense to this.
RWM2 trying to get Innocent as much room as possible. You can see the 2 basic attacks on Vanix there. Luckily for Vanix, that did not crit. Wow, it was just so stunning to see that Lord fight, right? It was like NIP Flash were everywhere, and SRG just capitalized on every single mistake. They got the top lane as JPL failed the implosion flicker. They killed Diablo, who was alone with no initiator. And then the shutdown happened as Hades tried to recover the situation. And now SRG find themselves with a 5,000 gold lead. It's just clean from SRG.
Yeah, look at Innocent and his items. He's just lacking one more item, whereas Vanix was just able to pick up his Holy Crystal, but is still looking for more in order to dish out the necessary damage. For the other members too, I think for TT at least, we would be expecting some sort of damage as well, but SRG, at this point, I think they'd be pretty much okay with sustaining all that. He doesn't even get to just use the Feathered Airstrike as freely as he wants to. There's always pressure from Cram, and even Sekai's, whenever there's a team fight. So I don't think NIP Flash, they're able to capitalize on their team fighting as much.
Not at all. Now they're really going to have to wait for late game. Vanix already has the Holy Crystal. does Vanix have enough to actually deal with Cram? Because Cram has been a nuisance. So Stormy, caught opposition. Diablo goes in for the airstrike as well. Purify used. Oh, spatial migration! Finds Curtizi. An implosion, though, to catch them now. Vanix, will he be able to go through? Everybody, Skies is on a killing spree. And he just melts Mr. Man, Vanix on the Natan. Innocent looking for 3 members down for NIP Flash.
And it seems like NIP Flash grouping up together didn't work as well because that was a beautiful spatial migration for Humes. And it seems like this might just be their walk towards the base.
Diablo is doing a good job at baiting and buying time, but he will be slain. Now it's just JPL with a shove onto the minions. Curtizi finds himself back alive. That's a respawn timer for the airstrike into the cannon minion. They will be able to delay it a bit more. Hades and Vanix will spawn again. SRG still wanting to go for the end. Hades jumping in spatial migration. The minions have been dealt with. They're going to go for it, but Hades is still there. It doesn't even matter. Melfic gun range on the Bruno gets it done for SRG in game 1.
They didn't even want to reach the late game, nor even probably stay in the mid game. SRG ends it in less than 14 minutes. One access to the base was all it took for them to secure the first game of the series.
Again, the Farsa came close. Right, Curtizi.
So a lot of it just came from, hey, if we keep on taking down their structures, at least the guys can find farm on the opposite side of the map and pull attention away from where he is, because he was the one who was suffering the most.
Yeah, like, look at that. Like, the Worldie was actually able to secure the kill down at the bot side, and now we just see Innocent honestly positioning very, very well and not really forcing it out. The moment he sees that the Farsa is there, he is maintaining his position to make sure that he doesn't get caught. And the range, man, the Malefic gun. I can't believe there's still some argument saying that, oh, you know, Bruno isn't that great. I'm like, huh, maybe we're watching different games here.
Yeah, and then to top it off, he goes the tenacity route and then the quantum charge as well. So not only is he a little bit beefier, but he has more mobility to work on his side. And so that's one of the key factors that helped him stay alive alongside trusting in Cram, trusting in Humes as well, to be able to find those setups for them to initiate.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of question mark was on Humes